Hi, everyone. This is Interviews with the Runner Washington. Keenan Gray here, as always. Today, we won't be talking with a distance runner. We'll be talking with a sprinter. In fact, Bianca Greene, a graduate of Garfield High School in 2008. She was a semifinalist in our greatest 200-meter all 21st century bracket. No, you won it. You won it. I don't even know what
I
I'm
won.
thinking. I don't even know what
I
I'm
won
thinking.
that
You
one.
won it. And she kindly joins me today on Interviews with the Runner Washington. So, Bianca, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So again, how are you doing with all this COVID-19 stuff?
I work for a school district and I don't have work, which is great because we're able to stay safe, but I'm kind of losing it a little. Like I want to go outside, but at least I'm healthy. My son is healthy. And so that's all I can ask for.
Both my parents are teachers, so they completely understand in the scenario you're
Yes.
in the sense that my mom's a PE teacher and my dad's a PE teacher. So it's
Oh,
definitely hard for
nice.
them to get back into the teaching parts. But
Yeah.
besides that, let's talk about your days at Garfield a little bit. I mean, you were an incredible athlete, six-time state champion. Senior year, you
Yes.
finished first in the 200, running 24.2. What was that race
Mhm.
like in itself to get that huge PR?
I believe that was the fastest that I had run in all of my high school meets. So to be able to accomplish your fastest time and at state, it was like a double win for me. I was very excited, and my fans that came to support me were extra excited for me. So that just amped me up. And it was a great win. It felt good. I went up against some pretty good other components or opponents, and I came out on top. I like that.
And then 100, 4x2, winning those. What do you like those relay races in the sense of
I
like,
loved the relays. For me to win the 100, that was a surprise because that wasn't really my race. Like in the 200, it gives me a little bit more time to get my speed up, whereas the 100, you kind of got to be explosive and get out. But my coach, he worked with me a little bit on my start. So I think that's how I won the 100 that year. But the 200, that's where it is. I love it.
so going back to your sophomore year, you win your first ever state championship in the 200. That
Yes.
feeling in itself to win it as a sophomore in a class 3A against
Mhm.
some of the best athletes in the state, what was that like?
It was a great feeling because my freshman year I wouldn't say I was that great at track. I have been running since I was 7, so I was always good and I was winning when I was really young, but for some reason my freshman year I didn't make districts, I didn't make state. I was just kind of there. So to turn around and win the next year, that was a great accomplishment. I worked super hard that freshman summer. My dad, he was coaching me, and then I had my actual coach. So there were a lot of hands in the pot, but I came out and the hard work paid off and I got to win state that year.
So then going to the junior year, coming in as the reigning champion, unfortunately you finished second. What
Yeah.
what kind of was there any self-doubt after that race as to if you could repeat again as champion?
Absolutely. So sophomore year I won, and then junior year I'm warming up and I was just so nervous because I had already won my sophomore year, and so you want to win again and people are counting on you to win. And so that's going to put a lot of pressure on you, and I just felt like I was in my head. Track is mental. It's a mental sport, and if your mind is not on the track and you're not prepared for that, you're not going to be able to perform the way that you should. And so I think that's what kind of happened to me, is just the pressure of wanting to be a state champ again kind of got to me.
Now, you weren't necessarily a 400 runner either, but you did manage to throw down a 57.01. So when you PR'd in that race, what was that like?
That was also a surprise, but it was weird because I was doing 400s in practice because they help you for the 200. So it wasn't like I couldn't do it, but there is definitely a technique to the 400. And my coach, Johnny, he was a 400 runner, so he was able to guide me and kind of help me with the way that I run it. And it got me a faster time than I had ever run. So I appreciate that from him. But I would say the 400 is not my favorite race because it's a full sprint. It's not like a jog.
But you were ended up winning it twice at districts.
I did. I don't know.
So
I don't know how, but I am a competitor. And once I am on the track, I'm going to give it my all, no matter what the race is. You could throw me in an 800 and I'm going to try my best. So, again, mental in my head, I'm like, I can do this. Anything that I put my mind to, I can do it. And so, especially in the 400, I just had to push myself and I got the win.
Now, for a school known for basketball prominence, I mean, around the state of Washington, everyone knows who Garfield is because of
Yeah.
such as like Brandon Roy, who's now currently the head coach there. How
Mhm.
did track and field kind of just become the sport now in itself for Garfield?
You know what? Track was really big at Garfield like some years before me, and then it kind of died off. And then for some reason, when it was my year, we all got together. We were winning relays. I was winning the 200, the 100. So it kind of picked back up, and we just kept going. We won the relays, and that was fun because it's not like just you. It's not individualized. You get to share that win with your teammates, and that's always a great feeling.
Now, I don't know if you necessarily paid attention since you've been outside of high school, but if you have,
Mhm.
what's impressed you the most about the growth of this program?
Um, yeah, so I was coaching a little bit high school track, so I got to see some of that. I think how, just like when I was there, it was always family oriented, family based, and I could still see that the way that the teammates interact with one another. That's always a great feeling to have your teammates become family at the end of the day because it's going to help you to compete to the best of your ability. And I experienced that when I was there, and I can still see that that's what's going on there now. So that's a great feeling.
And then just looking back, like what do you miss the most about being a Garfield Bulldog?
I miss I miss my teammates. I miss how we would get ready for the meets. I miss how after the meets we would still hang out. It wasn't like we were just friends because of track. We actually became friends. We actually became family. I still talk to them to this day. I still go to baby showers or whatever the case may be. We're actually still all connected. And so I miss being able to see them all the time the way that I did when we were practicing. And when you're running track, you practice a lot. So I got to see them a lot and then to not, that sucks, but we still stay connected. So I love it.
Moving forward from high school to college, obviously purple must be your favorite color because it
Obviously.
was your high school's color, and then you go on to pursue a career at the University of Washington, who is also purple as well. So, talk
Yes.
about before we talk about the University of Washington, what was that recruiting process like for yourself?
I remember being in class a lot and hearing my name over the intercom, and they're like, Bianca Greene, like, you got to come down to the office. And I'm thinking I'm in trouble, but it was letters from different schools coming to the mailroom. So I got a lot of different letters, but UW was a school who offered me the full scholarship. And so that is a part of why I chose to go there. They were also family oriented when I went on my recruiting trip. So I guess I love the part of being able to connect as one. And so that's what drew me to that program. And I also was able to stay home. So if my family wanted to come and see me run, I wanted them to be able to do so.
Now, you must really love the city of Seattle and be able to
Uh-huh.
compete in that city. So, to compete basically in your hometown with your family there watching, but also having a new coaching staff, new teammates, what was that experience like?
It was different because my coach in high school, he was definitely like very hands-on for me specifically. And then when you go to college, your coach has to spread himself around. So it was different, but he always, my coaching at UW, they always made sure that I got what I needed. If I was injured, which I did get injured my freshman year, they made sure I had the best staff to take care of those injuries. So it was all love. I love
But despite all the injuries, though, you were able to be a Pac-10, Pac-12, because Pac-10 at the time when you were in
it. Yeah,
school,
when I was there.
it's Pac-12, you were able to participate at the Pac-12, Pac-10 championships. What was that like? And then how did you feel you did it at those championship meets?
So it was different because at that time I'm racing girls who are experienced. They've been there for years and their times are way faster than mine. So me being a freshman and coming in, it was kind of like my freshman year of high school where I just didn't feel confident, but my teammates, they definitely helped me, especially the older ones. They guided me and showed me the ways of, this is what you do in a college meet, because you don't prepare the same way that you do for high school. You're at school, and then you go home in high school and you're still around your parents. In college, it's just all you. So you have to do it yourself. You have to get ready. You got to wake up and feed yourself. And so it was different, but it was an experience that I wouldn't change for anything.
Looking back, what was probably your most favorite race?
Ooh, my favorite race, I would say it was an indoor meet and it was a 400. And I had run a 55. It was my fastest time ever in running a 400. Now, an indoor track is a little different than an outdoor track, but that doesn't take away from the time. So I was very proud of myself for running the fastest 400 that I've ever run. And my coaches, they were definitely proud. They were on the sideline, they're screaming for me. And then one of them gave me a hug after, which was not really his thing, but it made me feel good to know that I was being accepted and they finally saw what I could do, especially through my injuries.
Now most indoor tracks are 200 meters. Dempsey not. It's like what 290 something.
Yeah, it's a little bit more.
So what was your mental race approach? Because for a 400 it would have been 2 laps if it was regular.
Yeah. So I had to just think of it as 200s, right? Like I didn't want to think of it as, okay, I got to go around multiple times. I just kind of broke the race down. And I think that's what helped me to get through it, because if you're running and you're like, oh man, I have to run like 4 laps for one race, that's not really how a sprinter's mind works. So just to be able to break it apart, that helped me get through.
And of course, the biggest meet of all for UW is the duel. I mean,
It
when you're
is.
talking about track meets at University of Washington, it's that duel with Washington State University, that state-wide rivalry. What was that like to run against the Cougs?
That puts a lot of pressure on you because at UW, that is like the meet. That's the one that everyone comes to. That's the one everyone talks about. And all the people who have run before me, they still talk about it. You can still see them posting about it. That's a major meet. So you want to uphold everything that the people before you have done. And so it gets to you. You want to, keep it going. You want to keep the wins coming. But just like any other race, it doesn't matter who's out there. You just have to give your all and just prepare yourself.
Now, who do you remember from, and it can be from UW and it can be from WSU, but who do you remember from that meet that is now, they could potentially be pro right now?
Oh, I'm not sure. After UW, I kind of let go of track a little bit, so I didn't stay in touch. I'm not sure if anyone, I do know of Jonna Woodruff. She ran at UW with me, and she actually runs pro for Panama. So
Okay.
that's fun. She doesn't run for the U.S. team, but she is a good friend of mine, and she does hurdles.
And then what was your favorite memory ever from the UW dual meet? And it doesn't have to be necessarily in your event, but it can
Hmm.
be just from the entire meet as a whole.
Uh, we had a funny meet where we raced Wazoo and we got our coach's face on the back of our t-shirts and he had no idea that we were doing it. So it wasn't the race per se, but it was like a fun moment because we always got on our coach for having such a straight face. And so to see him laugh, it kind of loosened things up between not only the coach, but the team. But yeah, also, whenever we did beat the Cougs, it was a plus. Like we
Well,
went
it's always
all
great
out.
to beat the Cougs. I mean, they're the little brother of the University of Washington. So, I mean, it's always great. And it's always great to
We
beat not
yeah.
just football games either. So, but
Uh-huh. And we
so for those
celebrate.
that do, yeah, exactly. For those that do run collegiately, their goal is to get to Hayward Field. You had the opportunity to run at Hayward in 2012, your senior season at the Pepsi Invite. Talk about that experience and running in one of the meccas of all of track and field.
That is like one of the biggest accomplishments you can make, right? Like getting there is the goal. And so I was proud of myself for even doing that. I had stress fractures in both shins. I had torn a hamstring. So to be able to even just get there, whether or not I was able to perform the way that I wanted to, just to say that I got there, it was an accomplishment. It made me feel good. It made me feel like if I weren't hurt, then I would be able to perform just like everyone else. It's definitely an atmosphere. It's different than any other one you'd any other track meet that you would go to, because that is track city, that's track town. You're pulling into the track meets and they have track billboards. Like, you don't see that anywhere else. So they take track very seriously out there. And to watch the crowd just go crazy when someone wins, especially for me, when I got to see people from my own team win races, like, you just feel so good.
I recall a race, and I don't remember specifically what year it was, but it was a UW distance runner. And I
Hmm.
remember this Oregon runner, he was waving his hands in the air. And I don't know if you remember this race, but he was about to cross the finish line, but a UW runner runs right past
I
him.
do. Oh my God, I do remember that race actually. Yeah. Yep. That was wild. That bus ride home was probably crazy.
So talk about that race just a little bit, because that was at the Pepsi Invite. That was a
Hmm.
pretty big deal just to see someone lose down in Oregon, especially on their home track.
Right. So I do remember that race actually. And for us, that was a big win
Mhm.
because you want your teammates to win, even if it's not you. You
Mhm.
feel good when someone on your team wins. I remember us celebrating. I remember everyone running and hugging and just congratulating that person. And that's what I was saying earlier. Just to have that family dynamic definitely makes whatever win you have that much greater. So that was fun, honestly. I remember.
So looking back on your whole UW career, obviously it wasn't the career you wanted per se because of the
Hmm.
injuries. But when you look back, how much of it do you miss and that you wish you could go back to and relive it?
Yeah, I mean, I got injured, but I was still able to compete. I did redshirt my freshman year, but other than that, there's not much that I would change because it got me through college essentially. Like, I was able to get my degree, and that's why you go to school. I had fun. I met a lot of great people from all over. I got to have multiple coaches, and just college is not an experience that everyone gets. So for me, just to have that experience and to have a scholarship while I was there, no better feeling.
Other than track and field and maybe cross country occasionally if you went to watch cross country races, what was your favorite sporting event at the University of Washington?
I loved the basketball games. I've always loved basketball. I used to play basketball, but I was a little too fast for the ball when I
Mhm.
was dribbling down the court. So the basketball games, that people love to watch the hoops. And so I have fun. Football games are fun, but basketball was my favorite sport to watch.
Well, at the time, football wasn't as successful as
Hmm.
basketball was. I remember the
Yeah.
2008 season when they went 0-12, and that was not good. But they're doing great now with Coach Lake and then what Coach Peterson done in the past. But what was your favorite memory of just going to basketball games is sitting in the dog pack?
I remember a USC game actually, and I don't know if you know who Little Romeo is. He's a
Mhm.
rapper, and he came and UW, they made signs and posters, and they were just basically saying like, you're not all great like you think you are. And so UW goes hard for their teams, fans, parents, whoever. We go hard.
Mhm. Who was on the team at the time when you were in school?
I went with Darnell Gant. I was there with Scott. I was there with Isaiah Thomas. Abdul Gadi was there. There was a lot of people who still actually play basketball now when I was there.
A lot of local guys too from the Seattle area. So that was really
Yeah.
cool. And I remember that team with Lorenzo Romar and just what that
Mm-hmm.
recruiting class he brought in with Isaiah Thomas. So that
Yeah.
was really cool. Just growing up, I remember that Isaiah Thomas cold-blooded shot against Arizona in the Pac-10 championship down in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so post UW, you find yourself a coaching job at Rainier Beach and end up coaching one of the best sprinters to come out of the state of Washington, and now is
I
in
did.
his senior year at WSU, Emmanuel Ray Wells, as everyone
Yes.
calls him. What was it like coaching him and watching him be successful?
At the time, Ray Ray was fast. He was always fast, but I don't think that he knew just how fast he was. So I was just excited that I was able to kind of enhance his ability to run. He made it to state. He won state, and so it was a great feeling for me because I had been there. I had won state. So, like I said earlier, I would want anyone to experience that feeling. It is honestly a wonderful, wonderful feeling, and just to be able to be a coach to someone like that. Now I got to see how my coach felt when I was running.
So what was that like? Obviously transitioning from the athlete perspective and now you're the coach.
Yes, different, difficult. You have to tailor your workouts to different athletes. And, one day someone may need to work on blocks, the other somebody may need some distance work. So it was tough because I couldn't get out there and do the running for them, which is what I was used to doing. I had to kind of tailor how I did things because I know some things worked well with me as an athlete. And so I wanted to do the same for my team and push them to be successful. So it was different, but it was fun. And I'm glad I got to experience both sides, being an athlete and a coach, and especially a coach to a state champion.
Now you were the head coach of the girls team, correct? Or
Yeah, for the girls, but I did work a lot with Ray Ray, so that was fun.
So again, not just sprinters, you're in charge of distance, throwers, jumpers. Was that a lot of stress on your shoulders?
That was, but at some point we actually got different coaches for all of those events. So I was able to focus more so on the sprints. The guys coach at the time, he helped a lot with the hurdles. So people kind of just went where they were good at something. And for me, I was good with the sprints. So I worked with the guys and the girls.
Now, during your coaching stint, you were pregnant. Now your son is 4 years old.
Yes.
What's it like having a little son around and sharing this?
I named him the correct name. He is very fast. He has a lot of energy. He does love basketball more than track right now. So I don't know how I feel just yet, but hopefully I'll be able to work with him and he'll get to love track as much as I do. But right now we're just having fun. He wants to work on his form. We're not working on block work yet, but we're working on pumping the arms right now.
Does he pay attention at all to the NBA or college?
He does. He will tune into a basketball game. He knows all of the players I don't even know. He's like naming them. I'm like, who? Like, he really pays attention to the game, and I love that, and I encourage that actually, because that's something he wants to do. You have to be good in every department of whatever you choose. So if he wants to play basketball, you got to know the game.
Exactly. Who's his favorite team from the NBA?
He loves the Golden State. He loves Steph Curry. But if you ask him, he will say Michael Jordan is his favorite player.
And I know he's young, but have you guys been watching The Last Dance?
Absolutely.
It's great. I know there's a lot of language in it, but I mean, it's history. It's history.
It's kind of something he needs to see. That's how I feel.
I mean, to some extent, and for those that have not been watching it, The Last Dance, I highly encourage you watching an ESPN 10-part documentary about Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls before they all just dispersed in 1998.
Yes.
I mean, it's just incredible. So I'm glad you're able to share that with him. But so I mean, that kind of stuff is cool. And I'm glad that he's able to potentially want to pursue something in basketball because I played basketball.
Right.
I did track.
Right. Too, so if he wants to study the game, I encourage that.
And then his favorite player is Michael Jordan.
It is. And Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like his favorite player changes, but for now it's MJ.
So you and I both growing up Sonics. It was all about the Sonics.
Yes.
Hopefully he does get that opportunity to know who the Seattle Supersonics are because the Sonics haven't been around since 2008. So
even now he's like, KD played for the Sonics, right? I'm like, yeah, how did you know that? He knows Gary Payton, so he has a little bit of knowledge, but I wish I could take him to games here. I don't want to have to go to Portland to take him to an NBA game. So maybe one day we'll get the team back.
No one likes the Trailblazers. That's my dad always talks about that. We never liked the Portland teams down there. So.
Right. We'll see though. I don't know. Hopefully they bring them back.
Well, my team is the Boston Celtics right now, so who I know it's a long ways away, but like I really liked what they've done the last decade or so. But
nice.
One thing I am curious though about, and it's your nickname, Queen Bee. when I think of the Queen Bee, I think of Beyonce.
The Queen. She is that. That is for sure, and I love her.
How did you end up with that nickname?
You know what? I remember some of my teammates' parents just calling me that. They would call to me while I'm at the 200 mark line. And if you know, a 200 from the stands is really far. So they're yelling my name. I don't know how I acquired that name, but it could be because I did win a lot of meets. And my name is Bianca, Queen Bee. I don't know. I rolled with it though. I like it. So I
Because I
still
saw on your Instagram, Queen Bee, I was like,
uh-huh.
I gotta ask her how she got this nickname because
A
only one
lot of
person I
people
know of
just
that has that
call me
nickname,
that, and so
and
I
that's
took it.
Beyonce. So, so you say you're at
Yes.
Renton right now, Renton School District.
hmm
Are you coaching at Renton High School?
I'm not. I thought about it, but with my son being a little bit younger, because I coached when I was pregnant and that was tough. And so I just wanted to be able to focus on him right now. When he gets older, I may go back to it. But for now, I'm just teaching behavior technician. So I help students who have behavioral disabilities get back into their home schools. And I enjoy that a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. So speaking of the high school scene, this is one last thing we can talk about before we go. Class of 2020, no spring season. What's one thing you could say to them?
I feel so like I just don't know how I feel because I want you guys to know take this time to rest, take this time to heal any injuries you have, take this time to just breathe because when track season is in full effect, you don't really get the opportunity to just slow down and take a rest. So right now you're given the opportunity to do so that you can come back even stronger, even better, and it will be better. It will all come together for you and just relax. You guys got this.
Well, the nice thing about this, running you can do for the rest of your life.
You
It's
can.
something you can do for the rest of your life, whether it's in college or
hmm
do what I'm doing, just running just because
Right.
something you can do for the rest of your life. So that's the great thing about this sport. So,
hmm
Bianca, I really appreciate your time coming on here today, chatting with me about your time as a Bulldog, as your time as a Husky, and then your coaching
Yes.
stint at Rainier Beach, and then coaching one of the best sprinters in the entire nation, in Emmanuel
Yes.
Wells. So, thanks once again for being on here, and I really appreciate you. Stay safe,
Thank
stay
you.
healthy, so we can get all through
You
this.
too. All
This has
right. You
been
too.
this has been interviews with the runner Washington, Keenan Gray here. That wraps it up. If you guys want to check out this video on YouTube, visit my website at www.therunnerwa.com or just check out my YouTube page. Or if you want to connect with my Instagram page at therunner_wa. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.